Australia's commentator, one of the best in the nation, I would have to say, is Paul Marcuccitti. Thank you for joining me, and also the voice of Kick Like a Girl, and also a WNPL champion herself, Nicole Blackett. Good to have you both in there.
Thanks, Johnny.
Thanks, great to be here, mate.
It's do you like the way I pumped you guys up as well?
Mate, you've probably over-egged it a little bit, but thank you. Certainly in my case, probably not so much in Nicole's.
Well, it's good to have you both here. When you, we're going to dissect into a grand final. We need the best people to do it, and what a big grand final it's going to be as well. Because you probably wouldn't expect us to see these two teams in the grand final, would you?
No, I think it's awesome to see new teams in there with NTC, and Inter have obviously been there before, so probably the more experienced and the favourites. So yeah, it'll be interesting.
What about you, Paul? You commentated all the finals, so you were very close to it all. What do you think about seeing the NTC in there as well?
Well, I'm pretty surprised that they've managed to get through in the manner that they have. No disrespect to them at all, because they're a great and talented side, but it always gets difficult for them as the year progresses because they've got such a big program.
Yep.
They've got to go interstate, play tournament at Coffs Harbour. They've got to often have players going off to Matildas camps and junior Matildas camps and things like that. So for them to continue and be so strong throughout the final series is really absolutely fantastic. I wouldn't have picked them to go through the way they have. I'm not surprised Inter's made the grand final, though, because I always thought throughout the year that they were the sort of team that would actually give us their best at this time of year.
Absolutely. Well, you did mention it earlier on in the year that you called it, so we can try and dig up that audio maybe. And well, let's go into the review of the finals. It's been an interesting one. Well, Adelaide Comets had that week off in the first week. Came up against Salisbury Inter, which they lost, and Salisbury Inter got that place in the grand final, so had another week off for them. What do you make of the finals format, and also the way that Salisbury Inter have made it in, and as well as NTC, they went the hard way?
Well, obviously the final series is the second year that the Final Five has been used, and what's been really interesting this year is that most of the games have either been an upset or the lower team that finished in the table winning the game. Last year, every match was won by the higher placed team in the Final Five series. And often when that happens, people sort of will say things like, well, what was the point of that? But this season, it's completely been different. You've seen that the grand final is going to be between the team that finished third and second. The team that finished top has missed out. It's the first time that's ever happened in the WNPL since we moved to the finals format. And you've also had teams that have probably surprised on the day. I don't know about you, but I didn't expect Adelaide City to knock over West Adelaide. Even though West had finished below City, they looked like they were in better form going into that, so I would count that as an upset as well.
What about you, Nicole? How did you find it as an outsider this season?
Yeah, it just seems that's the beauty of finals, really. It's unpredictable. We've spoken about before in the commentary box with yourself, Paul, whether it's an advantage or disadvantage getting that week off. We've had the World Cup break as well, so whether that was a factor, like a mix of different factors, and this is what we've ended up with.
Well, do you reckon NTC going into this final now, they've had 2 games in a row that's gone to penalties. Do you reckon that's going to hinder them a little bit now the weekend as well with the Comets that went all the way to the end?
It might. It might also give them a great amount of belief that, maybe you almost feel indestructible having, been on the brink of elimination twice, but managing to battle through might actually also give them a lot of confidence. Although I just wonder if, the amount of emotional energy they've spent in these last 2 weeks could really be a factor as well. It could really go either way as far as how it affects those players, particularly given how young they are.
And on the way they played against Comets as well, they came back a couple of times to the LA Comets in crazy fashion as well. How do you think that would have built up their confidence a lot going into this weekend?
Yeah, I think with, NTC going ahead and then not being able to maintain that lead, we saw it right to the end just the other day. I just think they should try and maybe see if they can hold on a little bit more, but they're obviously going to know that, it's not over until it's over. And yeah.
Well, let's look into the whole season as well. The final series have been some incredible games, but the season as a whole, LA Comets, they were one of the best teams of the whole season. It's disappointing not to see them there come the grand final this weekend. But how great has Tom and his team been this season, Paul?
Well, obviously, they've been the best team throughout the year. I mean, they finished 10 points clear of NTC. So, they were a long way ahead at the end of the 18 rounds. And I think we should recognise that up until that World Cup break, they wrapped up the premiership just before the World Cup break started. They'd been easily the best side. They'd only lost one game before that World Cup break happened. And, it was just a team that was able to impose itself really, really well on people, on its opponents. So I think, it was a very, very well-deserved premiership. I'm sure they're going to be disappointed that they're not going to win the championship and complete the treble, but they are going to come out of this with 2 major trophies. So it's a pretty good effort.
Absolutely. How about you, Nicole? How did you find the whole season overall?
Yeah, I think just obviously being not in SA, so from the outside, they looked really impressive throughout the year, just looking at highlights and stuff like that. So to perform, and win 15, only draw 2 and 1 loss, it's pretty unfortunate for them to, fall at the last sort of hurdle. But as Paul said, 2 out of 3 trophies. The treble isn't hard to do. Is hard to do, sorry. But we almost had a treble of trebles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would have been pretty good to see on the outsider's point of view, but I'm assuming you guys like being one of the only ones to get the treble.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've got to say, West Adelaide people were quite pleased to see it not, be repeated, as if it's something that's quite easy to do.
Yeah, but you've got to give it to the Comets. So they did do a great season, but there were so many teams that did well this season as well. Someone we've got to give credit to as well is Flinders United. The way they've held their spot in the WNPL this season has been incredible. And someone like Cotier, the way she was commentating in the World Cup, flew down for that final game, scored the goal, went back the next day.
Back the next day.
Yeah.
All in a day's work.
I actually think Flinders United's the best story of the season in the WNPL. There's something fantastic that's happened there. They've come together, the Flinders Flames and Cumberland United programs came together a couple of years ago. They got promoted straight away in their first season as a joint entity from the State League. It's really difficult coming up as a new club. The gap is still pretty big between the 2 competitions. And really, what amazed me was the positivity they had right from the start. And even mid-season, when they were really looking like they were going to go down, we had Anastasia Willoughby on the podcast, and I'm just knocked over by how positive she was and about, how they were meeting the challenges. And, obviously getting Cote, absolute masterstroke. And, not only did they avoid relegation, they even avoided the relegation playoff. I think they've done amazingly well. I think it's been a great story, and it really, really good to see, when people are so positive and creating such a positive environment that, they have that sort of success.
Yeah. What about you, Nicole? How do you find the way they tackled this season?
Yeah, pretty incredible. Obviously, a signing like Cote does help. She's a amazing goal scorer. But I think that is the beauty of being, the promoted team. You've kind of you're almost expected to go back down in a way. And as Modbury Vista, unfortunately, that was super unlucky as well, did last year. But I guess they've just kind of come out, given it everything and just grinded it and stayed up.
Yep. And then next season, we're going to see you were there for the promotion playoff as well. We're going to see Sturt Lions as a new WNPL side next season.
Yeah, and that's going to be fascinating as well. They obviously only actually entered the State League this year, so they've gone from not having a team in the top 2 divisions, well, the only 2 divisions that are above the social levels, to getting promoted straight away, and next season they'll be in the WNPL. And we were blessed this season, I've got to say, that you've mentioned Flinders United and Sturt Lions. The way the draw worked out, Flinders United played Adelaide University in the last round of the season, and only one of those teams was able to avoid the relegation playoffs. So that was a real head-to-head. And in the State League, where there are no finals, Sturt Lions and Modbury Vista, the two teams that could have gone up, were drawn in the last round, and that was a head-to-head too. So we were really blessed with some amazing deciders this season, and that was a great day out at Corinna Reserve, a really amazing occasion.
Well, it's going to be good next season to see what other stories can be created, because it's been good in a year that we've had the Women's World Cup as well. It's great to see these stories of clubs like Flinders United, who are 100% a women's club, to be able to do what they did this year as well, and especially with someone like Cotier, who plays for an international with Chile and also was commentating at the World Cup. So it was a great way to celebrate it, wasn't it, for him?
Yeah, definitely. And I really, again, I should also mention though, Joel Porter deserves a lot of credit as well. His coaching of them was absolutely outstanding, and I saw a lot of their games, and I felt like he couldn't have done more to sort of set them up for every situation better than he did.
Definitely. And let's talk about the goals as well, because Nicole, last season you scored some incredible goals during your time in the WNPL, but from an outsider, you would have seen some great goals as well this season.
Yeah, for sure. It's always a good thing to have a look at the highlights and stuff, and there's some crackers for sure.
What's one of your favourite goals that you've scored, first of all?
Oh,
Well, there was a few out there in the last couple of seasons, for sure.
The last couple, there's one maybe 3 years ago. I'm not sure. It was at West Beach. It was against Fulham.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if people know the one, but that one sort of sticks with me.
I'm sure Paul's got his favourite.
I don't remember that one, but I would say now, I had written down earlier this year, because somebody else had asked me what are some of my favourite goals that I'd commentated over the years that I've been commentating. And absolutely in my top 3 is one that Nicole scored last year against Adelaide City. I've got to say, because it was the circumstances of the goal. The game's 1-1. It was at Adelaide City. West Adelaide are trying to preserve this massive unbeaten run. Well, not just unbeaten run, a winning run that they were on. And Nicole just comes up in stoppage time and hits the free kick. And I really, really loved commentating. That was a great goal. But I think this year, easily the standout goal for me is the one that Hayley Wellington scored for NTC just last week against Adelaide City when she went on that solo run. Unbelievable. Just one of the most fantastic goals. She's normally a centre-back. She was playing in midfield because of a couple of midfield players missing for NTC, and that was just one of the most fantastic runs. Absolutely brilliant, and very similar to the one that Sasha Curry scored against Adelaide City for NTC last year, which was also an absolutely fantastic goal.
What about you from this season, Nicole?
Yeah, that was a great goal, as you've just said. We saw that one live. Couldn't name. Oh, maybe Chrissy Panner's.
Yeah. Which one?
What's that?
Which
one?
one? Yeah,
exactly. Good.
There's a couple
good
this
question.
season.
I'm not sure who against, but Adam Butler took that really cool, burst.
That's right. Yes. Yes.
So I don't even know if I ended up seeing that goal live, but from that post, just how it was spinning in, and she was very far out. And also Elena Soroulis' goal against Fulham that you commentated on.
Yes, that's one of my favourite goals of the season as well. Incredible.
Yeah, just because she's obviously a centre back, but she does this thing where she kind of keeps running with it at times. She gets a bit more space than she thought, and she can definitely hit them. So, yeah, that was really nice.
That was a good game. There's some great goals in there. That's when I realised it was my first game commentating WNPL, and it's different when you're behind the mic and commentating a game. You see things differently. And the goals in those games, some of the best goals I've seen of all my time commentating. It's incredible to see. And that one there, highlight.
Yeah.
Absolute highlight of my time doing that one. Oh, we could talk about goals for days, because there were some incredible goals this season. But it's time to move on to the big one. The Go Sunny Solar WNPL Grand Final, presented by JB Metropolitan Distributors Adelaide. It's going to be Salisbury Inter taking on Football SA's NTC in what's going to be a very interesting game this weekend. Second versus third. Huge game on the calendar this weekend. I can't wait to see what happens. Tony Scalzi's experienced side taking on a very young side coached by Michele La Stella. It's going to be a very interesting game to see who can come up on top. And for me, I think Salisbury Inter, with a week off, going to come in firing. But you can't stop a team like NTC the way they've fought against LA Comets on the weekend. What's your thoughts on this weekend, Nicole?
Yeah, I think NTC have been playing exceptional football, especially just how they're playing the ball around. It's very textbook NTC, classic sort of style. I think it'll just come down to maybe, how they prepare, how they handle the emotions on the big day. Obviously, Inter have the upper head on that because they've been there before. They have older, more experienced players. We did see a little bit of inexperience in the prelim, just little things like the keeper rushing when 2-1 up and it's about to go. You've only got 3 minutes left, or rushing throw-ins. So just little things like that you wouldn't see in an Inter team. But yeah, it's going to be a cracker. Hopefully the quality's right up there, and it'll be a great game to watch.
What about you, Paul? What are you expecting?
Yeah, it's hard to know exactly how it's going to play out. I think what's going to be really important is that NTC have to be as close to error-free as they can, because they've conceded 2 goals in stoppage time when they had otherwise would have won the game, both against Adelaide City a couple of weeks ago and against Comets last week. And they were both from last-minute set pieces. And what happened in that last game, Georgie Nicole was not even the only player that got free in the penalty area. I nearly called the goal for Sophia Kuzionis because she was also bearing down on the ball.
Yep.
So they've got to know that they can't allow that to happen, because if there's one team that's really going to punish you from a set piece, it's Salisbury Inter. They've got to be absolutely on top of those situations. But I think in general play, I think it could be really, really even, because NTC's got a lot of really good attacking options. Madriz, Scarpin, we saw Vicarek come on, normally plays in midfield, scored twice brilliantly. Grayson Blischke's really impressed me with her wing play. So I think they've got at least a goal in them in this match. And at the other end, you've got Sugihara and Roxy Dodd. And Roxy Dodd's having a wonderful season. They combine so well at the top there. And they're going to be really difficult for the NTC defence, which has been very good so far in this series, except for those last-minute set pieces.
Well, do you reckon it'll be decided in 90 minutes, or do you reckon 120 possibly penalties as well?
I'm leaning to 90 minutes. I know it's very easy to think, NTC have had a couple go to penalties and maybe this one will as well. But I've got a feeling that Inter will find a couple of goals in the 90 minutes, as well as I think NTC's defence has done. I really feel like they've got so many options. It's not just their forwards. We know they've got the set pieces. It's really hard to hold them out if they get a corner. They get a few corners. Obviously, Nishitani, her delivery's so precise, and then she's got players like Calder, Ryder, Sugihara to aim for in the box. And, Roxy Dodd's just such a clever player. I think her assist to Sugihara that beat in the game where they beat NTC 3 weeks ago in the first week of the finals, that's just pure Roxy Dodd. She's such a clever player.
Yep.
So I really feel like Inter have got a couple of goals in them in the 90.
Yep. What about you, Nicole? Coming into their first grand final ever in NTC, do you reckon that's going to be a bit intimidating for these young players?
Yeah, it could be, but we also know that they're, known to be quite feisty. They give it their all. They're not really, scared of anyone. And obviously they've got this far, so why could they not just do one more if they keep playing the way they're playing?
Absolutely. Well, it's going to be a big game no matter what the result is for either side. I'm looking forward to seeing this one. This matchup is going to be very interesting. I know Salisbury Inter are very eager to try and get some silverware this season. So close in that in the cup final against Comets, but now we got the grand final, which is going to be huge.
It will, and I think whatever happens, and I know it's easy to say this, 2 teams make the grand final. There obviously been 2 very good teams during the season, but I think there are 2 terrific storylines here. NTC, they've never made the grand final. It's been a terrific year for them. They finished second in the premiership, so this is no accident that they've made the grand final. Young players, they've had huge amount of them that they've had to use, 32 I think it is, during the season. So huge credit to them as a playing group and to their coach, Michele, and everybody involved there. But I also want to mention something about Salisbury Inter that I think could easily fly under the radar. It's really easy to say that, Inter have been a really good side over these last 5 years, and yes, they've made another grand final. It's still only their second grand final. They've lost 10 frontline players since they won the title in 2021. Right? The only players that are going to be lining up in this grand final that played in the 2021 grand final are Matilda Comley, Mina Nishitani, Nicole Calder, and Chantel Ryder. Everybody else is a player that has either come through the ranks or is a player that's been picked up in these last 2 years. And this, for me, is not just about those players that are experienced, but it's also about players like Angelique Vroegdenberg, Jazz Styles, Nikki Frizzetto, Isabella Coimsis, Jess Signoriello, players that have been young players or players on the fringes in these last couple of years. And this is a massive triumph for them as well, and just huge credit to Salisbury Inter.
Absolutely. And also, well, you've been in 4 grand finals yourself. You won last year. Any advice you'd give to the grand finals this year?
Honestly, just to enjoy it, enjoy the occasion. Hopefully there's a lot of people out. Back yourself, back your teammates, and just know you're there for a reason and you deserve it.
Well, it's going to be a huge, huge day on Saturday down at ServiceFM Stadium. So make sure you head down there as well. Take the whole family. It's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of festivities is what I'm hearing. There's going to be live music, face painting, bouncy castle, and also balloon artists as well. So thank you guys for joining me. Thank you, Nicole. And you got some great stories with Kick Like a Girl. So we can listen to that podcast every week. And you enjoying those stories?
Yeah, it's been really fun. It's my little baby. It's cool to get different girls on there and hear their stories and just edit. And I'm sure you know all about the time and the editing that it takes. So it's cool to see it come to life.
It's great. You do a great job with the Kick Like a Girl podcast. Make sure you check it out. Especially the story you did with Charlotte Grant as well before the World Cup was very cool to see that story before we saw what happened with her at the World Cup as well, getting her appearance.
Yeah, Charlie's great. She's, so humble and down to earth, even though, she's becoming quite a big name in SA and Australia. Obviously a Matilda, and to go there to the World Cups, great. Obviously another former NTC player, so who knows, she could be tuning in this weekend as well.
And Paul, thank you so much. Great year commentating, and look forward to hearing you on the grand final broadcast this weekend as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. I'm really looking forward to it. It's been a great season, so I expect we're going to have a great finale as well.
Absolutely, mate. Well, thank you both for joining me, and thank you for joining us here for this grand final preview in what's going to be a great weekend. Make sure you head out and see the Go Sunny Solar WNPL grand final this weekend, presented by JB Metropolitan Distributors Adelaide, this weekend between Salisbury Inter and Football SA's NTC. Thank you for everyone tuning in, and thank you to Football South Australia as well. We'll see you very soon, hopefully, and enjoy this weekend.